Cool. And hello, welcome to episode 4 of the Super Bros podcast with your regular people here. It's Jose, Candido, Miguel, and Steve Lucin. He's our very first guest that we have on the podcast. And we love this guy, and hopefully look at all those likes. You
feel that love?
Wow.
Love you too.
Steve, we're happy to have you here, and we've known you for a while.
Because he's actually a really cool guest. You'll get to know him more. You'll be able to give him likes as we go.
I think he just leaned on the keyboard.
He fell asleep.
Don't worry, he's got more love for everybody.
I love it. Thank you. I appreciate the love, and thanks for having me on this show.
Thanks for joining us.
Welcome, Steve. So let's get into it. And on to Miguel. You lead. You have all the questions in front of you. Steve, who are you?
I am Steve Lucin. I am a designer, animator, philanthropist, and now, as of lately, a VJ. So a lot of creative things go on in my life. I mean, I discovered creativity when I was maybe 5 years old, drawing cartoons, Earthworm Jim, Sonic the Hedgehog. Went to LaGuardia High School for art, but from right there, I hit a crossroads and I was like, am I going to go to art? I mean, am I going to do fine art, and be broke, or be an engineer at RPI and get money? So I went with the get money route. Mm-hmm. Soon found out that the money route is not for me. Followed my heart, and it came, and I discovered that, I love designing. I love art. I need to have creativity in my life. And ever since I made that decision, I've been the happiest guy in the world. And I preach that to everybody that I touch, that I try to. Like, I was asking, what do you love to do? Are you doing what you love? If you're not, figure that out, because I live a pretty awesome life. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty happy. I don't think I have any white hairs yet. I'm 30 years old, and I'm chilling. Having a great time with my life.
So, nice. If I may, since you're wearing the shirt, and I guess that's probably your foundation at this point. So, Halucinated Designs. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I started Halucinated when I was in grad school at Parsons, the new school for design. The assignment was just to rebrand yourself. At the time, I had SDL Designs, which was just my initials. And
what is the D?
I'm sorry?
What is the D?
Darwin, believe it or not.
God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, wow. My mom wanted me to be a scientist.
That's amazing.
And since I'm Ecuadorian, got
Darwin, that's beautiful.
And all that. So
then you evolved that name.
Certainly.
I
evolved and I started Halucinated, right? So, but the reason why I started designing, I would say not in the first place, but in college when I decided to switch my major, is because I pledged this awesome fraternity that we're part of, La Unidad Latina, Lambda Upsilon Lambda Fraternity Incorporated. They found out that I was an art major in high school and was like, oh, art, how about you, put together this little flyer for us for this party that we're throwing or whatever. And I'm like, flyer? What is that? And they were like, get Photoshop. I'm like, Photoshop? What is that?
Right.
And that's because in high school, I didn't even learn about Photoshop. I guess it was still like an emerging technology to have in high schools.
Yeah, it wasn't as accessible to have. It
wasn't as accessible. Yeah. So nowadays, I'm really expensive. Yeah. Now it's just $10 a month if you really just wanted Photoshop.
Yeah, which is the same price for your Netflix or your Spotify or any other.
Yeah, all the subscriptions.
Absolutely.
It's definitely a strong move that they made, and I'm glad that they did, because
it opened up the door.
I vouch for it. Get the subscription. It's totally worth it, especially if you make a career out of your creativity. It's absolutely worth it.
You make a great point, because before then, I think I had it, but it was stolen, and I'm sure that was the case for a lot of people. Everyone stole it because software was like $600, and when you're a teenager,
plus. Yeah. I want to say 1,000.
When you're that young, you really can't access that. So you do what you can. BitTorrent or whatever. You steal it.
Can I interject here too?
Absolutely.
I remember when I was in 11th grade, I want to say 10th grade maybe. My boy, he got his cousin was a computer engineer. He got his hands on Photoshop 6 for us. Man, we went to town on on Photoshop 6, man. And so we were able to, when we got to high school in our senior year, by that time we were designing the school website. So we were entrusted with all the applications already by that time when we were in high school. And I just think that the technology coordinator for the district, he's the one who had the access to it. So we were able to do it then. Anyways,
Steve, fantastic. So yeah, I mean, I discovered Photoshop, because of a fraternity, and I just fell in love. I was up until 5 a.m, tutorials, playing around, making things happen with text, and ever since then it was history. So the next time I said, hey, let me do the next flyer, let me do the next poster. Little by little, I got better and better until the point where other organizations on campus were like, hey, how much do you do for a flyer? I'm like, you trying to pay me for this? And then it just started like that, $50 here, $50 there. And it just started blowing up. And then, I started getting better and better.
Like snowballs.
And
right, snowballs.
It snowballed, yeah. But I also went into trying different types of design, so I did like magazine layouts and like newspaper layouts or, corporate logos and stuff like that, still as an undergrad. And I realized that that's not where my creativity was at its best. I didn't enjoy doing the more corporate type of work. So once I made it to Parsons and, they were asking to rebrand myself, I was like, okay, what type of design do I really want to focus on? And all the stuff that I've done and really enjoyed was entertainment and nightlife based. So that's why I came up with Halucinated Design. I do spell hallucinated with one L, but it's certainly a play on words with my last name, Lucin, and having good time at night, having a blast being in a hallucinated state. But I also have it because the graphics that I produce tend to be very intense, very, bright,
mind expanding,
texture, mind bending. Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, let's be real here. Hallucinated is you're hallucinating, and when you're in this hallucinative state, you typically see lots of visions or lots of different things, and so you're exposing your creativity in that way, and you really are kind of changing lives and through these like experiences. I think you get to do things that a lot of people don't. You get to immerse them because they're there, they're having a party, and you said you're doing VJ stuff now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's you're all up in their experience, and that's amazing.
Yes.
That must feel awesome.
How did you get into the VJ?
So like a lot of people's like VJing like
MTV,
like what you call like TRL.
right.
You guys remember TRL with the the host? They were technically called a VJ.
Sure. Right.
But that's not what I do. It's actually performing live visuals at concerts or at festivals, at parties, or pretty much any venue that has any sort of screen or projection on it.
Sure.
Right. So I got into it because I went to my first festival. I'm a huge house head. And I went to my first festival in 2012. Went to Electric Daisy Carnival in Vegas.
The EDC.
And their production level for all their stages was just breathtaking. Like, they had LED screens everywhere, and it was all with lasers and lights, and the visuals, the animations that were going on these stages. I'm like, yo, I could do this. Right. This is so fire, but I know I can do this. Right. How do I get to do this, right? So I went home and I looked it up, like just visual animation concert or whatever, and I found out that there's a class at DubSpot called Visual Performance. And I was shit. I went ahead, and it costed like $1,000+ I'm like, I can't afford that right now. I'm still, broke as fuck, and I can't do anything. So I kept that in the back burner. But little by little, as my company started to grow and, funds started to get a little bit better, I found myself at some point was like, yo, I want to learn something more. Let me take this class. I can afford it. And boom, it was my most favoriteest class ever that I've ever taken at DubSpot. Like, it's so cool.
It's amazing.
We learned this program called VDMX. Shouts to David Lublin, who was my teacher, and he's also the person that writes the software. So it was really interesting to have a class from him. Yeah,
cool.
David Lublin, at David Lublin, I believe. And so VDMX, we learned how to use this tool, which is like Photoshop mashed together with like After Effects on crack. Like it's just like everything that you could do, you could animate and put together and layer live.
Tons of layers.
And it won't be any like slow rendering time like you would have in After Effects. It would all just be
on the
very
spot,
instant, very fast, on the spot.
How much prep does that take beforehand?
It could take very little prep, or it could take a whole lot of prep. I'm the type of guy that likes to really prep and do a really good show, especially if the artists, like the music artists, the DJs, give me their set beforehand.
Absolutely.
Because then I'm able to listen, understand, and know when all the drops are, all the high points, all the low points, and then put the right aesthetic to those type of points in their set. Right? So it just makes it all that much better. But I do have a certain setup in VDMX that I always go to, right? Because I also have a MIDI controller where with tons of buttons and sliders, and I have them all mapped to different effects, different layers, different this, different that. So that's my go-to. And then for each gig, I would switch it up or change it up, or
It's so interesting because what you're basically saying is that you've sort of remapped your brain to work to a different medium. It's it's almost like this is your own instrument, right? You're part of the performance, except instead of like producing beats or sounds, you're actually orchestrating the visuals.
A live visual.
Mind-blowing.
Is there somewhere? Is there somewhere we can go? We can go to see some of those visuals.
I'm sorry?
Is there a website or something we can go to for our viewers?
So to be honest, I haven't really pushed or branded the VJ part of me.
Okay.
Yeah, but I do have this,
working it out.
Like me and my two boys from my office, David and Nate, we have this group together called Mindless. And that's where we get to really experience a lot of our creativity in the club, because those two would DJ trap and techno while I VJ all of their music. And then we get to do our own thing, because sometimes when you're VJing for others, you have to stay within a certain aesthetic, or you have to, be constrained to whatever the venue wants or whatever the organizers want, right? Whereas when we have our own team, our own, individual creatives, we can just do our own thing. So I would say if you want to check out something, two of our live sets that we've done at Space Ibiza and Cielo with House 78, you could go to mndls.nyc. Now I can type over here, right? So
yeah, you can for the chat. Yeah. And can you just give out real quick your website where people can see all of your work?
So all of my stuff can actually be found at stevelucin.com.
stevelucin.com.
Yeah, at stevelucin.com, I link my other sites, which also include Halucinated.com. I have WeSupportCreativity.com, and the last one that I just mentioned, Mindless.nyc.
Beautiful.
Look at this horse.
Do we want to move on to that story we mentioned before? I think that would be a nice tie-in that could bring us back around to the work that Steve's doing. In addition to all the creative stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Who wants to start off or give a recap? Dito? I think you're good at giving recaps.
Yeah, I'll try again, right? So I want to say about 5 days ago, a group of Facebook Live reporters hosted a show, something called like The Rundown. Or I can't remember the exact name, but they had a guest on, and she's a Fox Sports news reporter. And as they were going down through the list of topics for the show, they eventually got to the topic that we talked about in a previous show. The young lady who had the 4.5 GPA, she got that full ride scholarship to UT, and she had proclaimed that she was undocumented, and to everyone's surprise. Well, to this sports news reporter's surprise, she didn't realize that Mexicans were smart. So she made that statement, and it was followed by a whole bunch of, how could they correct it? So we love Mexicans. I love Mexicans. We love Mexicans because they give cheap labor, and it became like a burial ground for this group.
Like, I didn't even know Mexicans were that smart. And so that's how it starts, right? And then she realized, oh no, I messed up. How do I dig myself out of the hole, right?
And that goes with having the right filter, like or I mean, like let's say deep down inside, we all have our own thoughts, our own like, what we want to say. But if you're gonna be public about it, nowadays everything's like public, and it's like you got to be careful.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the idea of a filter, right? Having a filter. But then that raises the question, well, this is what this woman thinks in general, right? Her day to day. She actually believes these things. She believes that Mexicans weren't smart, or that illegals are only good because they give us cheap labor. It's like you're getting a truth filter. Because they don't have a filter, we're seeing the truth behind it. At the same time, it's interesting because they're just hanging out, right? The setting that they're in, it's like kind of a hangout. It's Facebook Live, but we're not comfortable enough with that sort of environment where we're not really connected that, oh, people are watching us. It's not like, oh, I'm on CNN right now. I'm on Facebook.
I'm sure they forgot about the camera.
Yeah, I think a little bit you forgot. You got too comfortable, and so they didn't realize the backlash that they would have.
Right.
So I don't know if she was already fired, but at the end of it's a 20-minute show. So I don't know how much everybody has seen, but at the end of the show, one of the guys that was on the panel, I just call that panel, said, it was nice. It was nice having you here as our guest, but I think we might have to hire you because you're probably going to get fired. And I think so she's too. Fired.
I'm not 100%, but I believe that she was released.
I think.
And
Fox
why did Fox fire her?
Well, because
let's just break it down.
If that network has that belief, they don't want to actually come out and say it and then show it. They don't want that backlash that's going to come from from that state. They'd rather keep that stuff in office. That back.
But then again, they've been covering for the past year now. Presidential candidate who has been doing nothing but, if not saying his statements over and over again. So.
But they won't claim that they're supporting him, so they still don't have to, and they're not accountable because he's not an employee of their network.
That's true.
So he can say that, and it could be like.
And didn't he get released from a show? He did for his early statements about Mexicans. Remember? And then he got released by The Apprentice, was it, or one of his shows let him go because of that. So they did take responsibility. They were like, we can't have him represent us, so they fired him for that.
I didn't know that. Well, good.
Well, good, right? And this brings up also the issue of PC, right? You hear that thrown around a lot, like being politically correct. And some people are very actually proud of not being politically correct. They say, we're not PC here. We say what we want. So what do you guys think about that idea of PC, being politically correct? Should people go around saying whatever's on their mind? Or if things that they're on their mind are a little un-PC, should they sort of keep it to themselves?
Yeah, I mean, that's
where do we
like what that kind of goes with the filter, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's manners, right? I mean, that's how I feel like I was raised.
Manners.
You don't have nothing to say. I mean, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. But you definitely want to speak your mind at the end of the day as well. So I do see like. Or whatever, but it's a tough one. I don't know.
It is tough. I think my hope. Oh, let's go, Miguel.
I really didn't want to comment on this story. I think
because you have too many un-PC thoughts.
I have way too many. But I think what this shows us is how we live in a society that is completely. Devoid of understanding of the plight, right, of the undocumented person, right? We live in a white supremacist society where people can get away with saying things like this, and it's okay. Now, you mentioned she was fired, but at the end of the day, like, her career isn't ruined. Or it was a man or a woman.
It was a woman.
It was a woman, right? Like. It's just, I don't know. It just shows us how how privileged some people are in our society to be able to say things like that and basically get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there is certainly.
So I think it goes beyond. I think whenever you have situations like this with people saying, it goes beyond like really what one individual is saying, and more of, it's endemic of a society, of the society overall, that's allowing these people to say these things, and not only say these things, but actually believe these things, right?
I think you hit it right on the head. It's very revealing that this is how a majority of people think. And I think this goes way beyond this just one video. I think in the whole political sphere that we've been seeing a lot of people's inner thoughts. Stories came out recently about Trump rallies, and reporters would go to Trump rallies to see what it was like and report it, and they were just shocked, absolutely shocked at the things that they overheard. When people's filters were lifted,
absolutely
what they heard.
But it's all right. So astonished maybe to the people who I haven't been exposed to that, but to victims such as the four of us, I'm sure I've been hearing that all my life. And as far as being in a public space, I don't really know about the whole media space, but definitely a public space. I need somebody to tell me if they're racist, man, because I can't just be in a space where somebody has this underlying racism and they might hate my guts, and I am unaware of that, because that is a much, much, much more dangerous atmosphere.
But that's our culture.
Like,
that's our culture.
Yeah, I know.
That privilege,
I know that,
and they feel like they're better than you because you're Latino, because you have a Spanish last name, right? Like, honestly, these are things that don't get talked about, but it's true, right? These are some issues.
How do we feel about
racism versus covert racism? That's what you're driving at, right?
Yeah.
How do we feel about this accountability? Because we're being more and more accountable for our words, right? Immediately, everyone jumped on her, and I'm sure in her mind she made an honest mistake. She may not even be that like racist, or that
she's probably ditzy as fuck,
right? And she just made a bad comment, and she just got caught for it, right?
So I don't think she's apologetic for it. Her follow-up statement right immediately after she said it in the video clip was, "Hey, I'm not the only one who feels this way." So it's not her justification for saying it is, "I'm not alone on this." So like Miguel said, I don't feel bad. I'm not going to feel bad about it because I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this feeling. And this sentiment is not. This is a widespread sentiment.
Someone unrelated, John McCain today just got caught for saying that Obama was personally responsible for the atrocities in Orlando. Like, that was a quote that he used, and he got caught. And then later he had to backtrack and be like, I misspoke. I meant his policies were what led to the Orlando shootings or whatever. And they were like, you just got caught, and everyone noticed, and everyone's lambasting him. Poor old John McCain. People are getting caught. I think it's interesting in this new media world, right? We live in a new media world.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, it's because of the social media stuff. Like, any little tweet that you say, gets backtracked, and boom, you're caught. Whereas before, you would just say stuff. So I guess all this stuff, I mean, all of these comments and thoughts and feelings that people had, they have been with people forever. It's just that there was no real outlet other than, whatever you can, like your block, or if you're giving a speech in public, that was the only sort of outlet. Maybe news, sure, to a certain extent, TV, but now it's like this internet is a whole new surface.
It's a funny thought. You mentioned the block, things you can say in the block, in your inner circle. I think where people are finding their inner circles on the internet now.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that they just found their block was on that couch, and they're fans. So like, we're comfortable here on the internet, but we can get comfortable. Trump rallies, the same thing. That's their block. That's where they feel like they can speak their minds or whatever.
No,
I think Miguel was going somewhere with this.
Well, yeah,
guys.
Oh no, connectivity issues. Oh no.
Yep.
Who's that?
The Miguel. You wanna?
Oh no, yeah. I guess to wrap this up, right? That was that was sort of what I was driving at. The idea that there's a public space. Yeah, you have your inner circles where you're allowed to say things to people that you have confidence with. But But in the public space, there are people that can say things and get away with it, and there are people that can't.
Oh, okay.
So let's. But should we touch on going?
Yeah. So connected to that story was of them saying, "Well, I didn't even know Mexicans are that smart." Ignorant comment. I wanted to touch upon the Mexican in question, the student, right? The student who was the valedictorian who got a 4.5 GPA. And so one of the reasons that we had Steve on was because he's a major proponent for education, specifically education scholarships. And if you could just kind of take it away, Steve, and give a little recap of what the Halucinated Scholarship is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started Halucinated in 2012, at the same time, I was like, let me start this scholarship that I always wanted to start. And the reason why
always is how long?
Always, I want to say it was just 2 years at that point, right? Because it was 2010 when I wanted to, 2009 when I first, so the emotion in 2009. I was doing a college mentoring program at East Harlem, tutorial program.
Okay.
I was taking a high school student through his college process. So finding colleges, filling out the college application. And then when it came to the FAFSA, financial aid, hit a huge roadblock because he was undocumented.
Okay.
So that's where it hit me, because at that point I was really unaware of people that were undocumented. I mean, I knew it was going on, but I just didn't know anybody around me, or nobody around me had shared that, right?
Right. You might know them, but they might have been.
Yeah, no, they might have been. Yeah, exactly. So, but this was a direct hit because, I'm here trying to help him get into college. He's not, he's Mexican, right? He came to the United States with his family when he was 6 months old. So all he knew was the American dream, right? Like he grew up on the same block that, like others did. That, I just saw myself in him, and I was like, I was just like you, I wasn't, like he was a creative student. He just wanted to go to school, but because of this, legality, he just couldn't. He had this. He wasn't given the same opportunity that I was, that I had, right? So, it broke my heart because, we were searching for scholarships, we were searching for, financial aid, and there were no. He wanted to be an animator. So there were he was my best animation student at the summer program before, where I was teaching intro to animation. I was teaching intro to 3D animation with Maya, right? So he was my best student, and he wanted to pursue this in college, and he couldn't. And he wasn't a straight A student, he was an average student, B, C student. But it's like,
but he had a skill. He had that skill.
He had this creativity, he had this passion and drive, like he could do it. He could make it.
Sure.
But we would stay up. There were no animation scholarships. There were no design scholarships. Or if there were scholarships, you either had to be a straight A student or a U.S. citizen, which he was not. So it broke my heart. We both cried. It was really, really tough. But luckily, he was able to get a scholarship through his high school, and he was able to go to Hostos Community College. And he was okay, so perfect. A couple years later, I started Halucinated, and that was when I was like, you know what? Let me start the scholarship out of nowhere. Let me see what happens. Sure. If I save $100 a month, in a year I'll have $1,000, $1,200. So I did that, and I started posting it online, and people started
being receptive.
They were about it. They donated. They were like, wow, it's a great thing. This is awesome. Absolutely. First year I had seven applicants. The following year I had 553 applicants. Wow. So I was like, oh, there's a demand for this. I have to continue. I have to do this.
Absolutely. It's out of your hands.
Yeah.
Congrats. So the one small thought you had one day, and you never would have thought that it would go this far. So it's beautiful.
And I've had support from so many awesome people. Another brother, I would say is also a super brother, Alex Gonzalez. He has ever since I started the scholarship, he was like, he prints graduation stoles, he prints T-shirts, he prints a lot of stuff on apparel. So specifically for his graduation stalls, he said, whatever profit I make, 10% is going to go to your scholarship. And he's been consistent with that, you know? So that support alone is like, okay, boom. We have
that's what you call a win-win-win.
Win-win-win.
Everyone
wins. All around. They're getting to get a dope stole. They're going to help somebody go to school, and it just comes in full circle. So,
and it keeps building on itself. Right.
So 2016, how many scholarships were you able to give out this year?
This year, so with this year was interesting because this year was the first year I was able to, or I focused on raising money for Pedro. Pedro is the student who I was mentoring. Right. You know, he encouraged the scholarship, but I never gave a scholarship to him. But this was his last year of getting his associate's degree, and the focus was to raise $6,000, where $2,600 goes to Pedro for his last semester, and $1,000 for a freshman, $1,000 for undergrad, and $1,000 for a graduate student, totaling out to 4 scholarships this year.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So
fantastic.
Thank you. So it was a success. I mean, this year was the first time, or the first year, that we really focused on fundraising and getting donations from other people, you know, from our circle, or from, you know, I had my little volunteer team, you know, my core team helping me out. We did, you know, a little event. I created a video with, I produced this video with the help of the 929.com, 929 Media. They're actually my office mates. I'm actually put their website up right here, the 929.com. They produced an amazing video that helped me tell my story. You know, this whole time I was just, typing things up and, you know, not even showing pictures. And now everybody has a visual of, you know, Pedro. You know, he's a human. You know, I'm not doing this just to get money and give it to somebody. I'm doing this because somebody needs this, you know, financial aid, this money. And he's not the only one out there.
No.
All right. So I'm interested in knowing your distribution method. Do you make it a fancy, elaborate banquet where everybody dresses up the part and, you know, they have their dinner and collect the money, or do you have this other grassroots method? How do you get the money to Pedro?
It's completely grassroots. I mean, like I said, the base was me saving $100. Right. Then people started donating. Right. The third year, I wanted to kind of do something like Alex, where he creates something and money, a portion of the profits go to the scholarship. So that's why I actually started a small apparel line called Support Creativity, which was a logo T-shirt, a cut and sewn V-neck, a cut and sewn T-shirt, which you would write down the word create and we would print it on that T-shirt. So that made it very, very unique. And a notebook with the slogan that Halucinated, Steve, and now Support Creativity just goes by, and that's do what you love what you do something crazy. Now I have to do something crazy, tied it over here.
Oh, wow.
So I'm about a crazy life. But, you know, it's the crazy ones that think, you know, that they could change the world. It's the crazy ones that are innovators. It's the crazy ones that are very creative and have different ways of looking at things and hopefully solve awesome problems. This is a problem that I saw. I wanted to attack it some way. And to answer your question, Dito, it's very grassroots. So eventually I'd love to have like a gala and a dinner, a banquet and stuff. So this is the first year that I narrowed the application, or the applicants could only be going to school in the New York tri-state area. So the first 3 years I made it nationwide. You know, of course you didn't have to be a U.S. citizen. And I had winners in California, Ohio, Texas.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to do anything special for them. You know, I would just do a little animation.
I gotta stop you there. Because you are doing the most special thing for them.
Sure. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But I mean, I wanted to do
the fanfare.
I wanted to, you know, really like show, hey, this is important. You know, I want to show others that, hey, this is a very talented person.
Well, the whole reason we have graduations, right? They could easily just say, okay, you're done, but they want to have a big celebration to sort of signify everything you've gone through and your victory, right?
Exactly. So,
So my question is, where like you're doing great, it's starting to build on itself, and you're getting all this momentum. Where would you like to see it go?
Ideal situation.
Yes.
Ideal situation. Full rides. I
Full
want to
rides.
get full rides. Yeah.
How many?
And that's,
How many full rides?
So I would like. So here's the thing. What I would like to do is have a full ride. Let's say for this year, right? Somebody gets a full ride.
Okay.
But I want to be able to give support to previous scholarship winners, right?
Okay, so it becomes like a network that you keep nurturing.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay.
So this is the first year I also put out that I wanted to have like a mentoring program. So I would try and get volunteer emails and say, hey, if you want to be a mentor, give me your email and I'll keep you in a little database.
Sure.
And I've gotten a nice little database of different people who are interested in helping and either being a mentor or helping with like doing an art show or helping with just administrating everything, So
how do our viewers get in on that?
Oh, very easy. You go to WeSupportCreativity.org. There's only 3 options you can do: volunteer, donate, or apply.
Perfect.
Nice.
That's it, So
I'll be doing that right
thank
after
you.
this.
I appreciate it.
Yes, Tito.
I was about to say we've approached that time.
Oh, damn.
To wrap it up.
Yeah.
Man,
that was fast.
Can I make one comment before we take off? Do we have a couple of minutes?
Sure.
Yeah.
You said you were doing this in 2009. You started doing it in 2009. That's when you were teaching and you first.
Yeah. I was teaching at a summer program in 2009, and that's when I was doing the college mentoring.
Right.
And then 2010 is when I sort of started Halucinated, and then 2012 is when I incorporated and then actually started the scholarship, which was called Halucinated Scholarship, Inspiring Creative. But this year I rebranded it, and now it's just a Support Creativity Scholarship.
So actually, you said in East Harlem, right?
Yes.
It's interesting because around that time, 2009, I was working as a social worker in East Harlem, actually. And I remember walking down, where was it? I want to say like 114th Street on the east side. There was this big mural of Subcomandante Marcos of the Zapatista movement. And I remember thinking like, wow, that's really cool. And I didn't really know who he was at the time. But I looked it up, and then I actually, by chance, I went into the store that the mural was on, and I asked, hey, do you know who the artist is? So they ended up hooking me up with this guy who I met with later on at like a pizza place, just to talk about the artwork. And he was actually working with undocumented people living in that area and sort of creating tenant associations for people who were undocumented. And so like bringing this full circle to what we were talking about before, not being able to find access to higher education, but also not being able to find a place to live. Like that's the reality of being undocumented and living in America. And not to say that all Latinos are undocumented, because that's certainly not true. But it is a substantial part of the Latino community in America. And so I think it's really important work that you're doing, and I commend you. And I just want to say thanks for coming on the podcast. And
we're really happy. We're blessed to have you here. We're blessed to have you as a brother.
Yes.
Part of our network, our circle, as our friend. One last thing on my end, at least, Steve, is so your whole thing is do something crazy, right? That's what you profess. So how do you help? Can you give our viewers and us, like, how do we get more crazy, right? Because that's how we change the world. That's how we think outside the box. But how do we do it? How do we get out of our comfort zones and really just let loose? Or hallucinate? How do we hallucinate?
It's so difficult, and I'm gonna tell you this because Support Creativity is all nonprofit stuff. That is completely out of my comfort zone. But honestly, it's because I'm acting from the heart, and that really drives me to do all of this out of my comfort zone stuff. It's really about taking that small little step, little by little, and crawling out of your comfort zone. Take a risk, be a little edgy. I mean, it's difficult. I'm not gonna say it's an easy thing to do, but try your best to try new things. I even tell people, you never ate this, eat that, try it. You don't know, because it's like you need to experience all these different feelings in life and all these different things, so it's just about trying something different and new.
Cool.
I don't know if I could tell you more than that. It's hard.
No, that was great. That was great, bro. Thank
Jump out
you.
of a plane, go shark diving, you know?
Do we, I guess we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Tito. Thanks, Miguel. And thank you very much, Steve Lucin. Again, if you want to see stevelucin.com, and you can find all the different links from there. Para siempre, brothers. And thank you. This has been episode 4. You can find us every Thursday.
That's awesome.
Wow, look at that. That's fancy. We're gonna keep talking after we stop recording, but it's been episode 4.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Because Super Mario.